Welcome to Roguecast, the official podcast of Rogues Gallery. We'll talk comics for the week, as well as whatever news is on our pop cultural radar. I'm Randy.
I'm Nick.
This is Dave.
And now, on with the show. All right, we're coming to you live from inside Rogues Gallery.
It's April Fool's, and that's Randy's favorite holiday.
April Fool's was yesterday as we record. As we record this, April Fool's.
Oh, okay. Well,
there will be no April Fool's in this podcast for two reasons. One, we released on April 2nd. And the only thing lamer than doing April Fool's gags the day before April Fool's is doing them the day after. And the third thing lame is doing them on April Fool's, because April Fool's sucks.
Yeah, Randy's not a fan of April Fool's, so I am going to sneak in some pranks into this podcast.
The next time you hear will be me putting a hatchet in Dave's head.
Actually, Randy, when we get around to where we're talking about comics and stuff like that, I'm going to give fake opinions, and then at the end of it, I'm going to be like, April Fool's, I actually hated it.
I hate all of that. I hate every single bit of that.
It's a plan. You won't know until I actually reveal it, though.
It's a plan.
Yeah.
Nick's with me on this, I think.
No,
Nick's with me. He's with me in spirit.
I am neither here nor there on April Fool's. I think most of it's stupid.
See, there's a spectrum. I hate it. Dave loves it.
Yeah.
And Nick is neutral.
I don't love it. I hate it.
No, Dave. We're a spectrum. Sorry, that's the position you've chosen.
I will. So the April Fool's gags that I will allow for are the ones that like the internet memes where a company is selling something that is not normal for them.
Yep.
Years back, remember when they sold they promoted the Tauntaun sleeping bag where you go inside the Tauntaun tummy, take a nap,
and then they actually made it.
And then they actually made it because people were so amused by it.
Yep.
And I was like, that was a good April Fool's
I think
gag.
for me, I can sometimes roll with those.
Yeah.
But then you'll see every company decides to do them, and then a lot of them are just stupid.
Well, sure, yes.
And so it becomes a crime against comedy, which is what I think April Fool's Day is.
I mean, truthfully, a lot of things that companies make are stupid to begin with.
That's true.
So, I
That
mean,
is true.
it's not like wildly
But look, we can all
inaccurate.
Let me see if I can unite us, though. Do we all agree, at least, Tauntaun sleeping bag was a cool idea?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
fun.
Randy, let me ask you this: when somebody does something like that, and then they're like, "This is not a real product," are you like, "Betrayer"?
No, I'm just annoyed that they bothered. I can usually spot them right away. The Star Realms guys did like realm spans. It was like wingspan commercial Star Realms, and I'm like, that's kind of a lazy and not very funny gag.
Yeah.
So, and I saw lots of that kind of stuff already.
Yeah. Anyway, but it is going to be
wacky.
wacky fun as we proceed through this, and the spirit of tomfoolery lives on in me. I will be like the medieval character Tom O'Fools.
So some house cleaning announcements to get through before we do everything else.
Yep.
The big news is we have a new website.
Yep.
Yes.
So if you go to the new website, it's the same location.
Right.
But you will see you can now peruse our inventory. Our entire inventory is online.
Are we Rogues Gallery TX?
RoguesGalleryTX.com.
Yep.
In theory, you can order through there for in-store pickup if you want to be like, oh, I want that, and put an order together. We don't know how that works yet, so that is very much in theory.
Right. Be nice with us if you try it and know that we might have to scramble and figure out how some of this technology works.
And you can't pay ahead of time because I don't trust our inventory, so like nobody can pay. You have to come in and get it at the store. And if you send an order in and you don't show up the next day, we're going to cancel those orders. Like, we're not going to leave stuff on hold forever. But it is a way to like shop while we're closed if you want to. You can look at our entire inventory.
Yep.
I have a couple of collections that we'll be featuring that we will rotate out, but right now the standard locations are games under $20, solo journaling RPGs, and role-playing game starter sets, and I will kind of change those features out.
Cool. And so those are the feature areas, but is there just inventory that people can look at?
Yep.
There's also
Do they have just general categories like graphic novels or games?
It is organized by board games, comics, dice, graphic novels. You can check all our stuff.
Okay, and then we'll have our little feature sections.
Correct. Also, if you have a subscription with us, we have been using a program called Manage Comics. Manage Comics, in theory, is set up so that you can directly add and change things on your sub. Now, we have to approve that on our end, so you can't, order a super fancy variant cover and say, where was my fancy cover? And we're like, well, you ordered that 3 weeks after it came out, so you don't get it.
Right.
So, but also, I think, you couldn't say, I want the cover E, the 1 in 1,000 cover.
Right, yeah.
If we don't order 1,000 comics, we can't do that for you.
Both of these features are very much in beta, so be kind to us, but But yes, we are trying to give a few more things for you to do on the website.
Yeah, we would like to have we would like to have these options. We'll just have to fine tune them a little bit.
This also required us to change our podcast a little bit. We are now going through Podbean instead of the WordPress we've been using.
Okay.
I've already updated all of our things on Spotify, Apple. We added us to YouTube. But if by chance you are not getting new episodes, well, you're not going to hear this, and that won't help you.
But perhaps one of your friends who's getting it will tell you.
Yeah. But the deal is this: there may be 2 Roadcast files on, I believe Spotify might have both. So you want to use the one that's updating.
Okay.
If the last one will end at episode 501, and there will be no further updates on that feed.
Right. Leave that one in the trash.
Yeah. But check out the new feed. So if you're going through a Spotify or even Apple, I don't know it should just change. But if for some reason you're not getting new episodes and you're listening to this on our website and being like, why are the feeds updated? Well, you're on the wrong feed. Go find the new one.
Go find the new one.
We have also updated the clearance table.
Yes.
It is the final month of clearance, so throughout April, all the remaining graphic novels are $5. All the remaining board games are $10.
Yep. Real simple.
Yep.
You go over there. There's a game somebody was looking at, which was the big box for Agricola.
Yep.
That was regularly priced at like $120 or something like that. It's a big storage box for all the Agricola expansions and
you
stuff.
can get it for $10.
You get it for $10.
Yep.
There's stuff like that there. And
there won't be a lot. I think people are going to sweep those in pretty fast.
Yeah, but
I already sold 10 games to one person today.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, how much are the graphic novels?
$5.
$5. If you just wanted to take a graphic novel and carve it up for art for your weird art project, or give it to give it as a gift to somebody or whatever, I'm like $5.
$5. We have Staple coming up in a couple weeks.
Yep.
Just a reminder that is going to be one of the sponsors, as always. It's going to be April 12th and 13th, I believe, down at St. Ed's. And then Free Comic Book Day is fast approaching. We're about a month out.
That's bonkers. I don't like that.
First Saturday in May, we'll have Free Comic Book Day as usual.
Yes.
All right. New games we got this week. We got a restock on Indie Press Revolution, as well as some new games.
And Indie Press Revolution is our indie role-playing game people. So, that corner of the store where we've got all the weird and cool indie games, not only got a big restock, like a massive restock, we always get a big chunk when we get from them, but also, about 8 or 10 new ones?
At least. We've got one called Longsword Glock Bat Taser, LGBT.
Yeah.
Which is when you play one-shot games of defending queer people from...
I like it.
We got a game from Evil Hat Games, the guys who do Monster of the Week and some of those other ones, called Stewpot, Tales from a Fantasy Tavern, which is basically playing a tavern RPG. We got a Zelda-flavored thing called Heroes of Cerulean. It looks like a Zelda cartridge.
Right, it is a beautiful bit of packaging.
We got Duckborg.
Yeah, the Morkborg people, who we've talked about their stuff before, they do the kind of old-school game mechanics, metalhead style art, and very flavorful character creation and randomized tables. Like, that's what we've had great fun making up characters.
Sure. And Cyborg.
For their various ones. They did this is somewhat unusual for them.
Well, it's an open license to other people, so someone else
correct,
does.
right.
Yeah.
There's like, even the pirate one, which I really like, I think was maybe not official.
Yeah, I don't think it's official.
No, it wasn't.
But that was great. But anyway, this is Duckborg.
Dukk.
Like Duckburg.
Like Duckburg.
Like,
Uncle Scrooge and Darkwing Duck.
Right, what's the cartoon I can't say?
DuckTales?
DuckTales. Like DuckTales.
Woohoo.
Yes, and it is like the grimdark version of that.
Yep.
There is, as a random example, we were looking at one of their bonus characters in there is clearly Darkwing Duck.
Yeah.
It's like, Duck Avenger or something like that. And one of the tables you roll on is you roll a d6 and it gives you his catchphrase, which are kind of almost like archly serious versions of his, I'm the terror that flaps in the night and all of that
Let's
stuff.
Get dangerous.
Yeah, and that is the vibe of it. They mention, the what is it powerful? I don't want to say the word oligarch, but it's almost like they called Scrooge the ancient oligarch, and they're referencing the lore without referencing it. It's not official, of course, but it looked fun.
We got 2 karaoke themed games. Yep. One is called Jukebox, and the other is called Against the Gloom, where you're pirates using the power of music to sail this gloomy. I've been looking for a musical game. I'm excited about both those. We got 2 heisty games. One is a little box set called The Score, which you play in like 18 minutes or something crazy.
Something like that, yeah.
That's crazy.
Is GM-less,
like
it's a set of cards.
like narrative kind of game, I think.
Probably something like For the Queen, which we've played and enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then something called Gems, that is also a game of heist, which has really cool art. Has a Hippo Man on it.
Nice.
All right.
And then a couple more solo journaling game. One is called No Tell Motel, a single-player murder mystery. And one is called Into the Starlit Sky, a game of exploration and discovery.
Yeah, those ones interest me.
And there's a few others. Like, that was not everything, but that's a fair amount of it. So
Yeah, obviously, come and browse the section, immerse yourself in it.
we got some new board games. One called Ravel, I don't know a ton about. I didn't look it up. A new printing of Arkham Horror Lovecraft Letter, which is the Lovecraft-themed love letter.
Yep.
Mythicals, a 2-player game that is like card and item buying. I played this one on BGA just to try it out. It's a really fun, quick, if you like... I'm trying to think what I would compare it to. It's almost trick-taking, but it's a good, fun game.
Okay.
And really, really pretty. A game called Last Minute, which I believe is about bomb defusing.
It is. It is about bomb defusing.
And then an Arkham Horror RPG adventures book called Arkham Mysteries.
So that is the newer Cthulhu game.
Yes, it is.
Very cool.
All right, let's talk comics.
Yep.
It is not as crazy big a week as Last Couple, but there's still
not nothing.
There's
still
some
a pretty
good stuff.
sizable week. The last of the new Absolutes drops.
Yes.
Absolute Green Lantern.
Yes.
This is a sci-fi horror take on
Yep.
Green Lantern.
And an ensemble take on
Yes.
Green Lantern, which is not unusual, but used to be.
But it's done in a more unusual way here than it typically is.
And of course, the characters are all kind of rethinks on them, but you've got representations of Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Joe
Mullen. And Guy Gardner's referenced.
And Guy Gardner is referenced. He's almost certain to show soon, as well as kind of a reference to a Green Lantern villain, but you'll see how it plays out. And you know what? How this almost unfolds? It's like it's a mystery for one thing. But you know what it reminded me of? Who made Memento?
Christopher Nolan.
Right. It reminded me of that era Christopher Nolan. The kind of like there is a little bit of out of sequence stuff in this. It's not crazy as crazy as
Not 100% like indie movie Green Lantern, but close.
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Their take on Hal Jordan here is really interesting.
You were telling me that in its way, it is a deep cut callback to something from the regular DC lore.
Yeah.
But it is not. He's not a test pilot.
Right.
It's a deeper.
But
much
also,
deeper
like,
cut
he
than
doesn't
that.
have Green Lantern powers. He is not the Green Lantern.
Yep.
Which you will see on the cover. It is Joe Mullen, but there may be more than one. But anyway, it's a very dark first issue. There's a lot of questions raised. There's sort of a slow burn start.
But there's also like almost a conversational vibe to it because there's a fair amount, but that takes place at like a what is this, like a cafe with Hal and John and Joe sitting down and chatting with each other over lunch.
Yeah.
But there's also things happening, and there's flashbacks that feed into it, and something big that kind of occurs near them.
It just dawned on me. It's got a little bit of a Stephen King element.
Yeah, I can see that.
I agree. That sort of the grouping, the sudden
Hot boilers, like people in one location being confronted with something dark.
You know, that sort of under the dome or the stand or something like that, where you're like, something weird is going to occur to these people.
Yeah.
And it does. There's no doubt there's a horror kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, I read it once digitally, like ahead of time, and I thought it was good. Upon rereading, it was quite better. I really, really dug it.
Yeah, I've read it once and I liked it, and I kind of want to reread it just because the way it was structured, I was like, okay, I want to kind of almost go back and see what was foreshadowed and what wasn't.
Also, as all the absolute titles, the art in here is just really, really good.
It's not somebody
I didn't
I know.
recognize it, but we
I
should
guess
also mention
most of the artists on these I haven't particularly known.
We should also mention this is Al Ewing. So
right. So he's known best for the Immortal Hulk run.
Yep.
He's done a bunch of different stuff, but. And he's currently, we've been recommending his all new Venom.
It's true.
But yeah, his Immortal Hulk was kind of what put him really big on the map. and people knew that was like a book that was where he shook things up. He made it more body horror.
He's kind of bringing a little bit of that energy to Green Lantern.
Yeah, and I remember like in the years after that broke out, people were coming in. They're like, "Oh, do you have these issues? Do you have them?" And they were, we were always sold out. And luckily, they did. There's trades and stuff like that. But this is a guy who kind of sneaks up on people and scares them.
Like in an alleyway or something?
Yes. Exactly in that. Am I saying Al Ewing is a murderer? Yes.
Sure.
100%.
On the page, he
not a
definitely
murderer.
is. Well, on the page, he definitely is.
But yeah, he's... what else, Randy? He wrote some like that... Not West Coast... Or was it West Coast Avengers?
No.
There was some other... But it had some characters from there.
Yeah.
The thing with... He did the Wasp as detective
Avengers
thing
Inc.
recently.
Yeah, Avengers
Inc.
Yep.
And he's hit several others lately that I was like, you know what? I'm liking this guy's style lately.
Did he write the Ant-Man and Wasp series as well?
Yes, I think he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, I feel like we've got another winner here. It's not as weird as Martian Manhunter, but it's weirder than the first batch of 3.
Yeah.
I'd say, or at least a little bit less.
Yeah, the first 3 are
formal.
Yeah, they're not completely odd. There's definitely
they're remixes of what the expectations are.
The second wave are all like a little bit twistier.
I agree.
Even the Flash has
kind of
element.
That's kind of a cool way to do it. It feels. It definitely makes it feel like this is just. It isn't. It couldn't be. End up being close to the regular DC universe. The characters are just too different.
Well, the Absolute line is definitely resonating with people right now. I expect this to sell out and sell out pretty quickly.
Yes.
So if any of what we're talking about sounds interesting, or if you're just a Green Lantern fan,
you might want to move quick.
You might want to move quick.
We also got Absolute Superman number 6 in this week, which I think we all enjoyed.
Man, Jason Aaron is just killing it on this.
It's really
good. I think we can say that the previous issue ended with him looking like he was going back to Smallville, and you will see the Kents in this.
Yeah.
And it is... It is a very interesting thing that occurs. You almost... Well, I don't want to say too much, but yes, they are used in this throughout the issue.
But Aaron is putting,
but we kind of already know that they are not going to be like a major core element of his life, but this is kind of like reveals, well, what role do they play?
Right, and Aaron is definitely putting a spin on like current events thrown into the mix.
Yep,
and I appreciate that, while also telling a very unique and interesting Superman story.
We've got Resurrection Man Quantum Karma, the new Black Label reboot of the...
This is an obscure DC
This is an obscure... They keep
doing it, though.
They keep trying it, and I've always liked it. Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning created it.
90s era?
Along with Butch Geist, and it was 90s era. And then they brought it back for New 52. It was one of their launch books. I really like Resurrection Man. I think I have all these in trade. This is a sort of reboot in some ways by Ram V. And Butch Geist does the... Butch Geist is not on art. He does the first page of art.
Oh, does he?
There's a different artist.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question, Randy. Not this version, but like, can you tell me the basic hook of the regular Resurrection Man?
He dies when every time he's reborn. He's reborn with new powers.
Okay,
which is kind of what this is too. But this does. If you know Ram V, he does a little more of the like.
He's almost like what a novelist would do with it, right? He's kind of thinking in those ways, maybe first and foremost.
He gets into sort of the philosophy of how he would be reborn and what it's like to be an immortal who keeps getting reborn and that kind of thing. It reads a lot like his Boom books that he did with the Many Deaths of Layla Starr and that kind of stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I need to check this one out.
We got Marvel Rivals, which a lot of people have been very excited about. This is was originally a digital comic and now is a story of a lot of the Marvel Rivals. You'll see Galacta, you'll see Jeff, you'll also see Penny Parker, Namor, Thor, a lot of the Marvel Rivals characters.
All in their weird costumes. And I think it has like a little bonus spray that you can use in the game for game purposes.
We got Daredevil Cold Day in Hell. This apparently has been in development since before the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
It's Charles Soule, who was writing Daredevil at that time, with art and co-writing by Steve McNiven. And it is very much a Civil War, Dark Knight-esque. Everything's gone bad. There was some kind of war. Daredevil lost his powers. And then things go further south for him.
Yep.
He's in this sort of wrecked New York City.
I'm trying to think, and yes, I think this is basically like if you have liked things like either Civil War, which this is the same artist, although it's interesting, his style has evolved. And
for sure,
he's been trying new stuff. Or if you liked Old Man Logan, I'd say for sure Old Man Logan people should check this out. Or just in general, that Dark Knight kind of edgier future vibe, dystopias and stuff, you should check it out. You see Old Man Matt Murdock here, and some of the crazy stuff that's been going on. I was trying to think, though, is there any future that's, if not utopian, at least shows like kind of a general
it's always
win?
bad. It's always bad.
Because I think you could show that and still have like a little trouble in paradise.
Sure.
But like kind of, it'd be nice to see one where the superheroes kind of, won.
No, that can't happen.
I mean, I can understand how we can't conceive of it right now.
Good no longer triumphs. What are you talking about?
We've got Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe one last time, which
Randy likes another Deadpool book.
I did like this Deadpool book. You know why? It's multiverse shit. I like multiverse shit. And also, it features Nth Man, the Ultimate Ninja.
Wow, that is a deep cut.
Yep.
That was Larry Hama's character?
It was Larry Hama's character. Basically, also, Dave, there is a panel with just piles upon piles of dead Deadpools. and that
I know that
spoke
to you.
You're going to win my heart over a little bit if you show me a whole lot of dead Deadpools. But this is it's some sort of multiversal thing where Deadpool is supposed to go and kill all these heroes and villains.
They do some revisits to some things that need killing, so there was some cathartic...
Superior Spider-Man is in here.
But there was some, like, Frankencastle.
Yep, Frankencastle.
A certain aspect of Daredevil that I was glad to see taken down. I also like this take on Deadpool. He is a kind of silent killer.
He's not a wacky quipster, and he doesn't break the fourth wall. This is a better version of Deadpool. People will not like it as much.
Although it is kind of harkens back to Joe Kelly. Why do I don't know. Conflate the two?
You conflate the Jelly Joes.
Joe Casey and Joe Kelly have very similar names.
Yeah, Joe Casey.
They are the same guy.
Very different writing styles, though. Joe Kelly writes good stuff. Joe Casey writes bad stuff.
Casey's Deadpool was very good. I don't know what you're talking about.
Joe Kelly.
Nope, can't dissuade me from this fact.
April Fools!
I hate you all. Joe Kelly wrote Deadpool and some other stuff. Joe Casey introduced Stacy X, the X-Men prostitute.
Ooh.
What is his finest hour, though?
Joe Casey?
Yeah.
Wildcats.
You just had to give him one thing.
His Wildcats was really good. It came off Alan Moore's Wildcats.
Well, you just turned right around on him.
That's the only good thing he's done, and it was really good. April Fool's, Dave!
No! You reversed the hold.
Anyway,
he also apparently wrote a lot of Ben 10.
Yes, he did. The Man of Action Studios, him and Steven Seagal and Duncan Rouleau.
Oh, okay.
Done a lot of that. I hate Deadpool, and I kind of like Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe one last time. Ironheart Bad Chemistry. This is a one-shot returning Ironheart to the MCU or Marvel Universe. We haven't seen her a bit. She is facing off with a villain who has ties to old-school Power Man and Iron Fist villain Camistro, and an Iron Man villain as well, which I thought was kind of cool. It is basically her trying to take down this villain and figure out if she can be redeemed. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Nice.
Concert of Champions, a one-shot featuring Dazzler, Luna Snow, Lila Cheney, as well as I think Spider-Gwen on drums. I see Dupe in there. This feels like a last issue of the Dazzler book they were doing. So if you're missing that Dazzler book or you like the musical side of the Marvel Universe...
What is it called again?
Concert of Champions.
Concert of Champions. That sounds fun.
It is the 10th anniversary of the creation of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Yep.
And so there's a one-shot with a couple different stories, including her original artist, Natasha Bustos. And it features the Impossible Man and a big birthday party for her turning 10. Very cute, lots of guest stars. You know right now if that's for you or not. G.I. Joe, the Real American Hero starts the Silent Missions one-shots. They're going to do 4 or 5?
I think 5 of them.
One-shots that are all silent and homage to the silent issue of G.I. Joe. Focusing on a character. This one focuses on Beachhead, the Marine. Isn't he a Marine?
He is.
Okay.
In the cartoon, he was like a drill sergeant. He was a special ops guy in the regular
basically,
comic.
he's in some kind of war-torn country, and he winds up on the run from Cobra that's got him surrounded, and there are kids.
There's a cool rendition of the G.I. Joe Tomahawk.
Yeah, it is.
In there.
This is written and drawn by Phil Hester.
Yeah.
Who we all like.
And there will be, this is essentially like a mini-series, right? About like 4 or 5 issues that are done in the
They're all one-shots, yeah.
Okay, but it's effectively.
They're
effectively
doing
series, yeah.
Duke, Roadblock, Spirit, Beachhead, and Jinx.
Okay.
Right, okay. And then...
What is Chuckles going to have
If you like weird, I Was a Fashion School Serial Killer is about a girl going to fashion school who kills people.
Who is a serial killer? It's not like the title is a dead-on thing?
Dead on.
All right.
Is it is she a serial killer like Dexter?
No, no.
Like a serial killer like...
she just kills people that annoy her.
Oh, I can see how that would be appealing to readers, though.
Does she kill people with, like, shears?
All kinds of things. But then she turns their skin into, like, leather jackets and stuff.
Sometimes when I hear, like, chewing sounds and become aware of it,
you want to stab them in the neck?
I'm ready to serial kill.
Yeah, maybe this is the one.
Yeah.
Then she bathes in their blood. It's weird. It's a weird book.
I'm not saying I would do every single thing she does, but at least a number of them.
Cover.
It's a disturbing book. This guy, Doug Wagner, who writes it, writes some weird stuff.
Yeah, that's a weird cover.
It is a weird book.
All right.
Other than the number ones,
yep.
This is also a big week for me. It is a Jed McKay Tuesday.
Yep, it's true.
So we got X-Men number 14, which we did get shorted on, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that may sell out pretty quickly, but we'll get it back in. And we got Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu, number 7. I'm really loving this Moon Knight run. Nick, you picked this one up at random because the cover got you.
Yep, the cover got me, and I was deeply amused throughout the entire issue. It was really good.
It's great fun.
But also, this was another good issue of X-Men.
It was.
Like, all around, they introduced some new threats in there. There's a cool search and rescue thing. Cyclops continues to be cool. There's another really good moment with Juggernaut and Illyana.
Yep.
And
the Juggernaut magic bromance, which is the weirdest thing to me. It really works.
It does. There's a bit in here where she says something really sharp.
Yeah.
And they're talking together afterwards, and he's like, "Hey, you got to cool it." He's like, "Not everybody is as like hard as we are." Like, he's like the good cop.
Yep.
But yeah, really like that. And they do a minor thing. But that suggests to me that they may be getting a new vehicle or airship kind of thing, and I'm glad about that because I hated the old one, which was a vestige of the Krakoa era and looked goofy as hell.
Yep.
So
and you were just happy the person who got shot down.
He's not dead.
Unfortunately. The big book I think that we're all excited about this week is All New Venom number 5, which is the weirdest thing in the world that we're all super into All New Venom.
Yep.
But this is the reveal of who is behind All New Venom. I regret to inform you all, it is not the Marauder.
Yes, we have talked on this show frequently about my hopes and desires that it would be, and this minor spoiler here, we won't say who it is, but that it would be an amalgamation, a gestalt character, like a person summoned in the style of the old Team America comic from the early 1980s.
Yes.
Super powered motorcycle riders with powers created by a Hydra experiment when they were children. Yeah. It wasn't that. It turns out to not be that.
Yeah.
But it is a pretty good story, and this is if this were a traditional mystery, this is the parlor room scene.
Yep.
There is a character, I won't say who it is, who kind of takes on the role of the Poirot or Sherlock Holmes or whatever, and kind of starts to piece things together. There are some twists and turns. It wasn't as... there was... I think we were right in the sense that it wasn't quite an obvious answer.
Yeah.
I believe I called this one. When I read 1 through 3, I believe I was like... I just not know who it was, but I'm like, it's not going to be one of the suspects.
Oh, I think I suspected that, although I think, my guess was there would be the Agatha Christie, it's all of them.
Yeah.
Dave, you and I joked and we were right in that fashion. We joked about this character.
Okay.
I did not remember this.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think I would say my gut instinct is I'm not in love with who it is.
Yeah.
And yet, as I've thought on it some more, I'm like, I think something can be done with this.
Agreed.
And the way it happened, the way Al Ewing wrote the story, was good.
Yeah.
So I'm on board to see where it goes.
Very much still on board. Yeah. We were talking how odd it is that like Eddie Brock Carnage and All New Venom are amongst our favorite books right now.
Yes, it's mind-blowing to me. Even though we have now revealed that Devil Dinosaur is the new Venom.
Yes.
It's weird. He shrinks down with PEM particles.
Right. A miniature giant devil dinosaur.
Yes. Yeah. Issue 3 of Charles Soule's and Ryan Brown's Lucky Devils comes out this week. Yep. Still enjoying that. The second issue of Godzilla Heist, which I'm quite enjoying. And the second issue of Star Wars Hyperspace Stories Bad Batch Ghost Agents. That's a lot of words.
That is a lot of words.
Let me go through that again. Star Wars Hyperspace Stories, which is the Dark Horse All Ages imprint.
Branding, yeah.
The Bad Batch.
Yep.
Ghost Stories.
You guys, you're nesting too many things in there.
Too many.
By the way, Randy, I realize with 2 Charles Soule books, that makes it Soule's Day.
Soule's Day.
That's right. It's Jed McKay Tuesday, as well as Soule's Day.
Soule's McKay.
Soule's McKay Day.
The one is supremely powerful writer.
Yes. And also, I think, are there 2 Al Ewing books this week? There are.
I don't have a good rhyme for that.
Soule's Ewing McDay.
Ewing's Day. That's
what we're saying, though, is it's a good week, because we've got good writers doing multiple books this week.
It is.
Al's Day.
Al's Day. That's better, Nick. That's it.
And then that's all. You guys got single issues you want to throw in the mix?
I think that hit everything for me.
There are also some notable trades. Batman Off-World, the Jason Aaron Batman Fights Aliens that Davis talked about quite a few times. Yeah. That gets a collection this week. Fantastic Four by Chip Zdarsky.
I didn't notice that collection hit it. I didn't see it when we were putting them out. But yeah, that actually had an ending I liked. It was a little bit of a bonkers story, but it's good. Batman in space.
Yeah. Fantastic Four by Chip Zdarsky. This was the era when the FF was missing. And so it's like Reed and Sue were off somewhere, and it's Human Torch and the Thing going through different multiverses looking for Reed and Sue.
It was good stuff.
It was good. I have this on hardcover, so if you're looking for a little more Chip Zdarsky or a little more FF in lieu of what's going on right now, worth a read. The Sentry, which I think none of us are Sentry fans.
Right.
Although he's a good character in Marvel Snap. I think, Dave, I don't know if you have this character.
I don't have him yet.
He's very handy.
I got pulled back into playing Marvel Snap, y'all.
This is the Paul Jenkins one, right?
This is the Paul Jenkins one with Jay Leonard, and it was an interesting... This was the interesting high concept of a lost character at Marvel who had been erased from continuity.
Right, yeah. And who was arguably almost like a Marvel Superman thing. Yeah. But, like, he had a dark secret. It is, Marvel is like Superman if he was both the most powerful hero and potentially the end of the world.
And this touched on different characters each issue. Like, I remember the Hulk was, like, his best friend, and the Hulk could talk to the Sentry, and, like... He could calm him down. And
there was a lost history to the character. It's interesting. The character, I kind of really used to kind of hate him on principle.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious to look back now because, like, he hasn't been used so much that I feel like he's, like, a tarnish on the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
He's, pops up every once in a while in some form or another. Yeah. Nothing. And then I'm like, I've even seen some interesting ideas done with him.
Yeah, Bendis overused him and did him badly, but in so doing... made people stay away from him, and that was probably the best thing that could happen.
Yep. Thanks, Bendis. You accidentally helped.
Yeah.
But yes, now I'd be almost curious to revisit the initial one and just, view it in a more chill light.
I remember really enjoying this. I think I have the single issue.
It was one of the buzz books of, the late 90s?
Yeah. Or early 2000s.
Or early 2000s, yeah.
Yeah. And then last, we have the Batman Gotham by Gaslight, the Kryptonian Age hardcover.
Yeah, y'all like this.
I know Nick and I really enjoyed this. We're both picking it up.
I think I will like it, but I wasn't following it closely when it...
It'll read better in trade, I think, for sure.
Basically, this is like steampunk sort of pulp adventures in the Victorian era for Batman.
Let's take a break, and then we're going to come back with a whole bunch of news to talk about. Okay, so we got some news to talk about, a few trailers.
There's some weird trailers.
So let's start with Drop.
Okay.
This is we're talking about this one. This is a woman who's on a first date.
Yes.
And she starts getting messages on her phone that if she doesn't kill her date, mysterious someone will kill her son.
Right. And there is a suggestion that this person is like watching her, is very close.
He has to be 50 feet with him to be dropping stuff to her phone.
Right. And
that's the name. That's why it's called The Drop.
I see. I see.
Except also, it looks like she might drop out of the window at some point.
Yes, it's a double meaning that makes it deep.
Yes.
Anyway, this reminded me of sort of like thrillers. Like, what was that one that was the kind of mid but watchable movie that was the one with the TSA guy recently?
Oh yeah, whatever that one's called.
What was that called, Nick? That one with the TSA dude.
Crap. I can't remember.
We're all old. Our memories
Who
are
even
gone.
Yeah,
was
that's
that
true.
actor?
Taron Egerton,
Yeah,
right?
Taron Egerton.
Yeah. Anyway, and that was fun enough. Or in the 90s, The Nick of Time with Johnny Depp,
Yep.
or 24, which
Yep.
kind of looks like it. This looks like it takes place maybe in quasi real time
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And it looked fun.
does.
The people involved were the director of Hard Eyes,
Director of
Happy
Freaky
Death Day,
and Happy Death Day.
Right, two fun Blumhouse movies,
And the writer of Hard Eyes, which Nick and I might get a chance to talk about later, but I really love.
Well, is that Chris Roach?
I thought it was Josh Rubin.
No, the writers of this is Chris Roach and Jillian Jacobs.
Okay.
Which
Jillian Jacobs?
Yeah, Jillian Jacobs of Community and The Bear and a couple of other things.
So I guess I thought Josh Rubin wrote and directed Hard Eyes, and maybe he had a co-writer.
Well,
No, he did not. He directed. He didn't write it.
Right.
So is it Flippy Flip? Somewhat. What
It
we
is
said?
it is the writer of Hard Eyes,
That's what I said.
which I liked.
Yeah.
But
No, you said the director of Hard Eyes. It's not the director of Hard
oh my
Eyes.
god. Well, the point is you were wrong.
Point is, Dave, we were both wrong. April Fools.
I thought this was a good trailer.
Right, so it looks suspenseful and
Yeah.
like it's the kind of thing where it's like when she starts realizing where it's coming from. Oh, they're coming from somewhere nearby to her. It's suspenseful, but you can also kind of tell that it's going to have some fun with it.
Yeah.
I think kind of like those horror movies.
And it's going to have fun with technology, showing kind of like the interaction of like YouTube videos sent to her, like of the whoever has her kid.
Yeah.
But it's also going to use a bunch of other stuff, kind of like what an Unfriended or
Yeah.
elements of that.
Yeah, like it looks like kind of a novelty hook, but it looks like they're maybe done well.
Yeah.
So I'm interested.
I think it
to be a
sounds
fun one.
I think it
It's a
looks
good trailer. We saw a trailer for Duster, which is an upcoming crime series on Max, co-created by J.J. Abrams and LaToya Morgan.
And working with an actor J.J. Abrams worked with back in the Lost days.
Josh Holloway.
Yep.
Josh Holloway, a.k.a. if you watch Lost, Sawyer.
So this
the handsome con man on the show.
So this is set in the Southwest in 1972, follows the FBI's first black woman agent working to stop a crime syndicate with the assistance of a talented getaway driver, played by Josh Holloway.
That sounds like a fun concept.
Yeah, it's a good trailer too. I like the 70s of it all.
They had a kind of a cool remix of the old song "Vehicle" by Ides of March.
Yep. That's one of my karaoke go-tos.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So the Toya Morgan is they also did Parenthood, Shameless, and Complications.
Yeah.
It's not.
And she apparently played the teenage daughter on One of Us. What's that show that everybody loved? That was the
This Is Us.
This Is Us. Yes.
Yeah.
It was a solid looking trailer. I think we all agreed that Josh Holloway really did some good acting on Lost and had one of the best, most memorable characters.
He was
in
great on Lost,
Sawyer.
and then he just kind of vanished.
He just kind of vanished. He probably, he might have been sort of the victim of some of the backlash against the series, but
also,
it wasn't his acting; it was the writing.
I actually also think it was probably his agent. His agent was
That was
getting
the
him
other
bad
thing, because I
roles.
was like, he picked some bad choices. And this looks like it's given him another shot, and he is kind of in that sphere of Lost, where as this getaway driver, he vibes like a bit like Sawyer does.
Yeah, he
but
does.
He's got that charm.
he's able to bring some kind of nuance to that role, and it seems fun. So another, I'm kind of interested to keep an eye on
I'm curious
this.
about that. Y'all remember that he was in Ghost Protocol? He's the agent who gets killed in
That's
the
right.
opening.
He's killed.
Right.
And he's great in that bit.
Well, I think he falls into the George Clooney style of acting, where he just plays himself.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Let's always remember Humphrey Bogart was kind of
Yeah,
that guy.
exactly.
That's a number of good actors over the years are kind of that guy.
Yeah.
Awkwafina is that guy.
Yes. We saw the trailer for Together, body horror with Alison Brie and Dave Franco.
It is
Dave Franco.
This is from Neon. What else have they made? I know recently
They
I
did a
saw
bunch of
they
stuff.
did. I saw the TV Glow.
Yeah.
But they're kind of like a maybe even slightly artsier A24 when it comes to horror movies.
They are, but they're also a little bit more gory, violent. They're a little bit more shock in
Which
there.
one did the one that was the in a violent nature with the slow?
The slasher.
Yeah, that was A24, I think, right? Or was that Neon?
No, I think that was just an indie thing. I don't
really?
think that
Okay.
was...
Well, anyway, this is one of those trailers where you'll watch it and you'll be like, what? What was this movie about? But it is filled with disturbing imagery. It's almost like its own weird little short film.
Yeah.
There's there's a scene, just as a random example. Well, wait, what is it? What does it start out with that looks normal? Because there is some.
They're getting married.
Stuff.
They're moving to a new house.
Right, moving to a new house. Very common horror trope.
Yep.
Generally, the new house not good for your future life.
Right. Don't move into new houses.
Something bad is going to happen there.
The tagline is pretty good, I have to say. After moving to the countryside, a supernatural encounter starts to transform a couple's love, their lives, and their flesh.
I don't like
that. Sounds right. So
this could not be less for me.
There's a bit where he is like looking in the mirror in the bathroom, and he like kind of. It's like there's something in his mouth, and he starts to pull it out like it's a hair, and it just keeps coming.
It's not even coming from his mouth; it's coming from like beneath or between his teeth.
Oh, like
that, like somehow makes it even grosser.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know why. But here's the thing: I like Dave Franco. I like Alison Brie a lot.
This is a vibes trailer, by the way. It's not meant to like really tell you the story. I think I need to see the story, but it has enough like the pieces in it, Nick, or some of the pieces
it's moved to. I need to see a trailer, but there's the potential of seeing this because I don't mind body horror. It's not my favorite go-to genre of anything, but there's enough about it that I think is interesting.
I think I'm not usually a fan, but obviously there's exceptions like The Fly or even The Thing.
Yeah.
Those are iconic ones from the 80s. And I want to see The Thing with Demi Moore, but I haven't seen it yet.
So early buzz on this movie, because I guess it's hit some
indie circuits
or some showings. It's at 100% with like 46 reviews, which is not nothing. We'll see.
All right. So Randy will not be at the film festival.
No, I will not be seeing this. And then we saw the trailer for One Battle After Another, the new Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Leo DiCaprio. It's also odd.
Are you guys a Paul Thomas Anderson fan?
I am and I'm not. Like, sometimes I find him pretentious. Like, what was Magnolia? I didn't love Magnolia, but I found it very watchable. I've only seen it once. But Boogie Nights I really liked.
I love Phantom Thread.
I guess I will say I'm a fan. He is pretentious,
yes,
but I liked all of his movies to one degree or another that I've seen, and it's only 3. So I've seen Boogie Nights, I've seen There Will Be Blood, and I've seen The Phantom Thread more recently. And like that is a really enthralling movie about a guy who is a dressmaker in the 1950s, who and about his tumultuous, controlling relationship with a woman, and her kind of toxic response to his toxicity, and it's incredibly good and compelling. An amazing ending.
Yeah.
An amazing ending. And he does build like that. Like, he makes these very watchable movies, even though they're very high concept, too. He's not necessarily for everybody.
Yep.
But this was unusual looking even for him, because it actually looks more pop than his stuff.
Yeah, it does.
Now, Boogie Nights had a pop element in it,
yeah,
for
sure.
But this one kind of looks almost a bit more fun. But let's see, what do we have at its heart? So this is Leonardo DiCaprio playing against type. He's not like a super handsome guy. He looks like kind of a scrungy weirdo.
Apparently he was a former member of a revolutionary group seeking the help from other revolutionaries to find his missing daughter. That's the through line.
Okay. And Benicio del Toro is like his revolutionary mentor, and they have some weird and funny scenes together.
Yep.
And what else happens in this trailer? It's a very kind of pop.
He's trying to get his, he's
there's
trying to get his daughter back.
There's a phone call where you can't remember certain code phrases.
Oh, right. There's a great thing where there's like, it's clearly like you have to go through several call and responses that you have to do, and on like the 3rd or 4th one, he's like, I can't remember this part, and it's like. It does not quite look like a typical Paul Thomas Anderson movie, but it was. These trailers today were mostly good surprises, and this was another one.
Yep. I know you are, and you don't really care for Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes, but I've certainly seen him. I've seen more stuff from him that I've liked in the last decade, let's say. So for me, like. Both of his roles in Tarantino movies, in Django Unchained as just the ridiculous, horrible, racist villain Calvin Candy, and then in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he was great.
He's always good with Tarantino,
and I think I like him more when he's kind of like a weirdo character, and he's not playing some kind of handsome dude. Like even in I liked Wolf of Wall Street. Okay.
He's at his best though when he's playing. He's all stuffed up on lewds and being a weirdo.
Right. When he's at his at his weirdest, when he gets to play against his sort of like kind of pretty boy type.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate that the dude's taking chances.
Yeah. This one I will probably see in theaters if I can manage it. It looks fun enough.
I don't think I've ever seen a Paul Thomas Anderson movie in theaters. Assuming that this is getting pretty good reviews, and just knowing him, it probably will.
Yeah.
I might too. I might be up for that.
All right. We also saw a trailer for Marvel's new video game beat 'em up, Cosmic Invasion.
Yes, this is a total throwback to 90s video game beat 'em ups, like arcade beat 'em up.
Annihilus is the bad guy. He's his annihilation wave. He's attacking the Earth. And so you got Wolverine, Captain America, Spider-Man, but also
some sci-fi heroes.
Nova
and Phyla-Vell.
And Phyla-Vell, a.k.a. I don't know.
Was she the new Quasar?
Yes, they call her Martyr now. That's her new name,
sure.
which is terrible.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's a terrible name, but sure, whatever. But the character is cool.
The character's cool.
And yeah, it's that old sort of pixelated but cool looking kind of beefy characters that are all jacked up looking, running around, and you're like, multiple heroes on the screen at once, side scrolling, beating their way through the bad guys.
Yep.
It looked fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
If you're down for that kind of throwback game that you play, you got to play it with friends.
Yeah.
You can't be playing this solo. That'd be no fun.
All right. Let's talk about the variety of news that came out this week.
Yep.
It's CinemaCon, so...
Yeah, well, is that what was going on? Okay.
Yeah, that's the big kind of...
So Sony dropped two release dates. One is they gave us a title for Spider-Man 4. It is Spider-Man Brand New Day, and it is coming out July 31st, 2026. Don't know much more about it?
No.
I don't know. I mean, Brand New Day kind of makes sense because it is like after a big memory wipe, which is kind of what Brand New...
Yeah.
But... They didn't divorce him from Mary Jane. They just broke them up because they weren't married.
Like all things Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's the better version of the comic.
I'm excited. The tail end of No Way Home shows him in the classic costume for the first time, and that was the best the Spider-Man costume has ever looked in live action.
But he's not been announced for Doomsday, so
we'll see.
We'll see.
I thought he was.
No, Tom Holland was not one of the people not one of the 27 people that was announced.
He's not an Avenger anymore because nobody remembers him.
That's true. No one remembers him.
And you know why the title could be synergistic because I believe that when they relaunch Spider-Man that they will undo the effects of Brand New Day in the comics where it was controversial.
You mean in 2 weeks when Amazing Spider-Man 1 comes out, they're going to undo everything that's gone around with Mary Jane and Peter Parker?
Yes.
That's your theory?
That's my theory.
There's kind of some notable stuff going on with Mary Jane right now.
No. They can be back together again. They will remember their love for each other, but it can include all the things that are happening right now.
We'll see. I am very skeptical.
In fact, I think that could feed into it.
I would love you to be right.
Because as you know, my motorcycle theory didn't turn out.
I know.
The Team America story did not happen.
And we're all very sad about that, to be honest.
Well, you should be.
It just means the Gestalt story is ripe to happen.
Right. It's like, I was like, hello, Marvel, I've got a pitch for you that I think you're going to be very interested in.
This does mean that your Team America revival is a go.
It's a go. That's right. And basically, it just got greenlit.
All you got to do is corner Tom Brevoort at a convention.
Chain him up.
Chain him up. Turn him to a radiator until he let green light.
After about a week or so, he'll break.
You're gonna misery him.
That's right.
Look, the man let Bendis run wild over Marvel. You can't tell me he can't be broken.
Yes, that's my theory. Again, just as a reminder to people, the reason for this theory is not completely out of nowhere. Brand New Day, very unpopular storyline with fans. Yes, arguably we've gotten over it. It's been 20 years, but Spider-Man sacrificed all his memories and love of Mary Jane in order to keep Aunt May alive. Mephisto enabled it. Yeah. He was the bad guy.
Yeah.
Now here we are with Spider-Man in recent issues working alongside Dr. Doom.
Yep.
Dr. Doom's main foe, other than Reed Richards, is Mephisto, who had tormented his mother's soul once upon a time, and is like the reason Dr. Doom learned magic. Dr. Doom is now the Sorcerer Supreme. He is supremely powerful. He could undo things like this. And he's working with Peter Parker right now. This would be an interesting favor for him to do to Peter Parker.
You lay out a good
This all makes sense, but I believe, like our theory that the Legion was infiltrating the post-Rebirth DC universe, this is a case of us writing a more interesting story than what they're going to do.
I think that's probably true. And by the way, the other argument for it is that the current writer of Spider-Man is...
Joe Kelly.
Joe Kelly is also writing the relaunch.
Yes.
Are you sure it's not Joe Casey?
It's not Joe Casey.
April Fool. But it is weird to have a relaunch where the writer just stays the same, and you just like, well, I guess it's a new direction or something. But if something as big as that were to be revealed in the first issue, then we'd be like, oh, okay, well, that's worth a relaunch.
I wish you were right.
I'm just going to assume this is a number 1 with the legacy numbering underneath it of 9,000.
I mean, in reality, it's probably going to be a somewhat unremarkable new direction for Spider-Man. And he's going to be like, I brought the webs under the armpits back. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
The other release day we got, the Spider-Man related, is Beyond the Spider-Verse, the sequel to, what was the last one called even? Across the Spider-Verse?
Across the Spider-Verse.
It has been announced for June 4th, 2027.
Why do they want to put something in an era when we're going to be in a post-apocalyptic dystopia?
So for those of you who remember, Across the Spider-Verse came out in 2023 and ended on a cliffhanger.
Yep.
4 years later, we're going to see the ending, if we still have movie theaters and democracy by then. I am so annoyed by this. I'm excited that we're going to get the movie, hopefully, but
maybe we can watch it in our El Salvadoran prisons.
When they dropped that ending
on the Fire Channel.
When they dropped that ending, I was like, oh, so clearly they've been working back to back. Like, it's almost done, and clearly it had not been.
Well, there was a writer's strike. There was
but they were never close to it at all.
No, God, no.
And I'm like, start and either end your movies or have the second part ready. Like, Wicked is a 2-part movie. They filmed it back to back. The second part is coming out this year.
They the model for this was kind of created at least as far back as Back to the Future, right?
Yes.
Because Back to the Future
2 and 3 were shot back
back to back and came right on each other's heels and stuff.
But it was during this time period there was several movies that had this.
There was Fast X, which we haven't seen the end of that one.
Yep.
There was Dune.
Yeah.
Which Dune actually has had its second part.
It's true. Now there's apparently a third one coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Duncan Idaho is coming back.
And there was something else. There were like 4 or 5 movies that didn't end.
Yeah.
And
it was a trend.
I hate it.
No, wait. No, Dune had an ending in the same way that the books did.
But it was, I mean, it is like now they march off into the desert ending. Like, it wasn't an ending.
Yeah, it's because I think he knew he had the third movie at that time, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
We're just going to have to fight for democracy in order to see these movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just remember, folks, if we are deporting everybody to El Salvadoran prisons without due process, we're probably not going to be able to see these cool movies. So you should fight it for the cool movies, if nothing else.
Yes.
Fight for your pop culture.
Fight for your pop culture.
I mean, also for, because it's the humane and right thing to do, but also...
Sure. But also for Spider-Man. Another sort of pop culture win, everybody's been talking about this Coyote vs. Acme movie that was supposed to be good,
heard it was good.
Had been told that Zaslav had buried it and taken the tax write-off and that we were never going to see it. It had been destroyed.
Same with the Batgirl movie.
But Coyote vs. Acme has been rescued by a company called Ketchup Entertainment that just released the new Looney Tunes movie, which I've heard is good. Did not do very well, but I've heard was good. So we're going to get Coyote vs. Acme. They've officially rescued it. I'm very excited to see this. It's supposed to be really good. It's supposed to be a classic Looney Tunes movie. You know what it is? It's a courtroom drama where the Coyote is suing Acme Corporation for all the terrible stuff that these over the years.
I forgot that's what it was.
That's a fun concept.
Will Forte is his lawyer.
So crazy Looney Tunes stuff will be happening in a courtroom?
Yes.
And probably other places too. But at least that'll be the framing.
Will Forte is fun.
The people who've seen it said this is great.
He's a character actor. You've seen him in a bunch of stuff.
He was on Saturday Night Live.
Is he going to be his representative?
His lawyer. Yeah. There's a bunch of people like this. This is. I'm very excited about this, and it also gives me hope that maybe one day we'll see that Batgirl movie.
Are they releasing it on streaming?
Movies.
Oh, movies.
Releasing it in the theaters.
All right, crazy.
We'll see what happens. We didn't talk about this last couple weeks, but Amazon has James Bond now.
Did we not talk about this?
We didn't talk about this.
Oh, wild.
The James Bond fans on my feed, which I have a few, most of which are older people, were all very against this.
Yes.
To them, they're like, the Broccoli's should remain the producers forever. And I understand that point of view. I understand they're like Amazon they're going to do a Moneypenny spinoff. They're going to turn it into a TV show.
Right. They're going to try and make it into a big mega franchise.
Yeah. And for me, I'm like, cool, because James Bond has been not good more than it's been good.
I think that's kind of true. And I will probably always have a fondness for Bond, having grown up with it. It was kind of one of the earliest action hero franchises I was aware of, and I guess the longest running one I know.
Yeah.
If you said, like, what's the overall quality on these films, and I was like saying on a 5-star scale, I'd be like somewhere between 2.5 and 3 is about the average.
Yeah.
Occasionally, you're gonna maybe hit a 4. And that's your upper end.
There is no 5-star James Bond movie.
No 5-star James Bond movies.
Casino Royale maybe comes the closest, and it's a mess.
It's a solid 4 to maybe 3.5. Yeah,
like it's a mess. It was different at the time, I know, but I remember being very.
I think
disappointed.
Skyfall for me is a 4-star.
Okay, well, we'll allow individual people might push one of these.
They're wrong, but it's 4 is fine.
Give an action sequence or Bond Babe that just are your favorites might get you there.
Right, or Jaws, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I just had to did a Google Amazon James Bond, and apparently there've been some reveals lately that are kind of bizarre. They're saying that the next movie is going to be taking place in the 60s.
That's a good idea. Bond is kind of a misogynist throwback. You kind of want him as a period piece.
So that's an official release, or that's some rumor?
No,
these are rumors.
There's
It's all rumors. No one
rumors.
knows anything yet.
Okay. I feel like I want him. Spycraft isn't as fun anymore, right? Obviously. Right. In a weird way, in the same way that after 9/11, conspiracy theories weren't like the fun Fox Mulder kind. Yeah. It became Alex Jones and anti-Semitic, and like just like the worst shit came out about it.
Yep.
And so it became gross. Bond might be one of those people where it has to be throwback.
I think it would do better.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea.
But I also am like intrigued by the challenge of it. Can you have a guy who's kind of a hedonist like that, but who's not a scumbag about it? That's what they've been trying to in recent years. Yeah. They've been trying to do that. And I think they've had some successes and some failures.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, of course, the secret fear of a lot of people is like, it's going to be woke Bond. And,
I hope it is woke Bond.
Yes. I
hope Bond is a black lesbian woman.
The queerest Bond of them all.
They killed that when they basically just threw it away with a shot of Lynch.
Yeah, that's true.
Which was
unfortunately, the problem was that was also a middling movie.
Yeah.
I think that's a little too high praise for it. It was lower than middling.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
It had a few good scenes.
Is that the final one?
Yeah, it was.
Is that the one where the best scene was the one with Ana de Armas in it?
Yep.
And I thought the opening was good too. The cemetery.
The opening was solid.
The opening was solid.
But other than that, it was a bad movie.
Yeah. But I guess what I think we can all agree on is that maybe the broccoli stewardship of the franchise is not a guarantee of quality.
Yeah, who cares?
Was it a complete nosedive?
And lack of them. But, like, I don't know if I'd even say complete nosedive. I mean, these are the guys who gave us Octopussy. Would I rather watch No Time to Die?
No Time to Die.
Yeah. Or like one of the schlockiest Roger Moore ones, like what's the one with
Live and Let Die.
Shrek? Was it Christopher
not
Walken?
Shrek. It was
not the Green Ogre.
That's where my brain went originally, but that was it To Live and Let Die?
No.
Get out of my swamp, Mr. Bond.
Whatever that 80s one. It also had Grace Jones in it. It was a stinker.
Living Daylights.
Living Daylights.
Great theme song.
Yeah.
Terrible, terrible movie. I would actually watch No Time to Die over that one, I think.
I actually thought the Pierce Brosnan ones were a lot of fun.
Mostly pretty fun.
Yeah, they found the love of camp with some cool action.
I hate most of those.
Really?
Yeah. It got sillier and sillier.
I think I want some camp to remain in there.
I'd be fine with that.
My idea has always been what I would like for like the next, let's say, 6 movies to be is give a notable director the franchise and let him do theirs. Let Tarantino do his in some crazy Tarantino style.
Yep.
Let
villain would definitely have a foot fetish.
Let somebody do a serious one. Let one that's just like borderline total camp, Austin Powers style.
Brad Bird does like a high adventure one.
Yeah. Let's see some different voices in here and let them completely take it in their own direction. And if one of those happens to catch the really, really take off for fandom, then.
By the way, Dave, I misspoke. It wasn't Living Daylights. It was View to a Kill.
Right. No, Living Daylights
is the
that's
Dalton one.
Dalton one,
yeah.
and is pretty good. Badass song from Aha.
I'm looking here. It looks like it's been 26 or 27 Bond movies. I believe if you took all the good scenes out of them, you might be able to get a good 2-hour movie put together.
A good solid half-hour clip show?
Solid half-hour clip show.
I highly disagree. I think there's some good Bond movies.
But you always have to be in the mood for a Bond movie to do it.
Right.
And within that scope, yeah, sure. But I think you always have to allow that there's
some
going to be
people might say there's been 26, 27 Marvel movies and you can get a 2-hour clip show out
Those
of it.
people are wrong.
I'm just saying.
I bet I do wonder if you just compare the average rating that these movies get.
Yeah.
Of say all the Marvel movies versus all the Bond movies. What do you think? Going with critics' ratings on Rotten
I think
Tomatoes.
Marvel would probably wind up higher. Just
think they would,
because Endgame and Infinity War everybody loved.
And you're going to have to factor in, Never Say Never Again, and a bunch of real stinker Bond movies.
Nick, but I think you have a point. I finally understand why people were so fanatical about, oh no, the Broccolis are out. If Kevin Feige was kicked out of the MCU, and they're like, yeah, and now Amazon has it. Yeah, I think I'd probably be a little nervous. I understand that.
Yeah.
But the difference is the MCU is good and James Bond is crap.
Wow. That is a take, sir. That is a very...
We're gonna get some letters.
I don't know. I do think it's an age thing. Younger kids don't give a shit about Bond.
Yeah. What about James Bond Jr.? Do they like James Bond Jr.?
There is an objective difference between them, which is Bond, for the most part, in his thing, has just done standalone movies.
Yeah.
And I think it's easier to cut to several points, whereas Marvel feels like a big tapestry, one big story, and you kind of want it to continue that story.
Oh, and I'm looking at Rotten Tomatoes is not a good barometer.
I don't know, that's kind of where we go for
I mean, there's the Bond movies get an average. There are definitely stinkers throughout that hit 36%, but a lot of them are 68 and above.
But I bet a lot of Marvel movies are too, right?
Yeah,
we're gonna do the math on this, y'all.
We'll figure
we don't
it
need
out,
to hold up the audience while we look up numbers. I'm just saying,
I don't know if I 100% can say that Marvel would beat Bond.
It's possible.
I'm going to go ahead and put my money on the fact that they do.
Yeah, my money's on it.
But we'll see. But there's some Ant-Man 3s in there and stuff.
It's true.
I know.
Yeah, the longer you go with MCU, the worse it gets for them.
Right. Yeah, if we were comparing just the
Eternals.
I was going to say just the first 10 or so.
Yeah, but that's rough too.
There's Bond those are broadly considered some of his strongest years.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to look into this. We're going to report back next week with the actual numbers and a lot of data.
Yeah, for sure. That will definitely happen.
Randy likes to make lists. He can make a list.
Yes. We'll do it with our long-awaited musical episode.
Yes. The Lantern show on HBO Max just announced that Nathan Fillion will be playing Guy Gardner in that show.
Of course he is.
Which I love. That does mean that is in continuity with the movies, which is kind of cool.
I like the synergy.
Yeah, I kind of like that too.
I'm looking forward to the Lantern show. It should be interesting.
You know what's weird is
I'm surprisingly excited for it.
I guess the Lantern show, I kind of thought was going to be a little bit more gritty, right?
Yeah.
And yet the Superman movie doesn't look gritty, but it's going to be the same character. At least that one bouncing around between them, and he seems like a goofy character.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to make it gritty. I think I'll be curious to see it. The casting is what's got me interested.
Sometimes
in that
I think that's just
it could also be
just
quirky.
Yeah,
it could be it's kind of a lot. Parts of it are going to be kind of fun and adventurous, but when occasionally it gets dark, it'll be pretty dark.
I feel like that's just a word that people throw around to placate their overlord, corporate overlords.
Yeah,
they know what gritty is. Batman is gritty, so we have to be Batman.
Batman is gritty and Batman's sold.
It's not just the corporate overlords, though. It's a lot of the fandom too.
For sure.
Well, they're wrong.
They want the grim and gritty.
Finn Jones, aka the world's worst Iron Fist, is out there saying, "Give me a fucking chance to play Iron Fist again."
Literally, that's verbatim his
That's
quote.
what he literally said.
Yeah.
And I'm like, as a friend of mine said, you had 4 chances. You had 2 seasons of Iron Fist and a season of Defenders.
Yeah.
You've had plenty of chances.
So, I never saw anything with him in it, so I can't comment on this.
He's boring and he's not good at fight choreography.
He's not a great actor.
He's not a great actor.
Now, let's
He's not bad.
Is he the fight choreographer?
No, but he clearly was not up to doing some of the stuff
he didn't sell it.
Yeah, he didn't sell it.
You need a martial artist for Iron Fist.
Well, John Wick, Keanu Reeves is not he is a martial artist, isn't he?
He's learned.
Yeah,
he's
because he loved Matrix and all that stuff. You want someone with that kind of commitment, going in. You're going to be playing the best martial artist in a superhero universe.
Yeah,
you got to commit to that.
You can't phone it in.
Yeah,
and he phoned it in.
and
then it was bad.
Yeah. The writing was also bad. The directing was also bad. But he was bad.
He doesn't deserve it. Mike Coulter and...
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, like, have we seen
it.
this guy in other movies? And
Yeah,
stuff?
he was in Game of Thrones. He was okay.
Who was he in Game of Thrones?
He was the Knight of Flowers.
Okay. Yeah.
He's okay.
Well, that's a hard role to kind of call it.
I think he's a generic pretty boy. Who thinks
I was just
he's
saying,
an
like,
actor.
if you had only ever seen, I don't know, certain like Liam Neeson in Phantom Menace,
Right.
You know, or even the way what's his name, who plays Obi-Wan?
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor plays him in 3 movies. Ewan
Yeah.
McGregor's a good actor, but pretty flat, boring character
Sure,
in the movies.
sure.
In those movies, I'm just like, is it possible it's the direction and things like that?
It is possible, but like I say, he's never done anything where I'm like, oh, Finn Jones can act. Like, when you saw, like, Hayden Christensen, he started doing some movies like, oh, that dude can actually act. He was just miscast.
We haven't seen the big counterpoint.
See no evidence that there's anything else going on.
I'm like, he hasn't been anything for a while, I think, and he's just like, let me do something. And
yeah, well,
yeah.
Whether it's the kind of thing I would kind of expect him to say, both whether he was a legitimately decent actor who just had been held back,
Yeah.
or if he was just a guy desperate to put some food on his table.
Yeah.
And you know, I can respect wanting to
I'm
put
fine
food
with
on your table.
Finn Jones getting to eat, but I don't want him playing Iron Fist.
You don't allow a meal for him.
If he has to starve in the street so he get a dinner from Iron Fist, I guess I'm okay with that.
And that's how the Hunger Games stuff.
This is a bit of news that has no impact on me whatsoever. Sydney Sweeney is in talks to be in the Gundam movie.
Yeah,
I don't care about any of that.
I like Sydney Sweeney.
I don't care what
anything
Sydney.
about her, but I believe she's an attractive actress.
She's great.
I don't care what Sydney Sweeney does, and I don't give a crap about Gundam.
You should. She's really good.
Is she a good actress as
Yes.
well? Okay.
She is.
Will she play a 30-foot robot well?
I don't know.
You know, I was
Those have like
forced
pilots in them,
to
right?
watch-
You don't think she's playing the Gundam?
No, I don't think she's
I was
playing
forced
the
to watch a Gundam movie by a friend, and
That's
it
not your
was
friend.
Pretty good. It was pretty
okay.
good.
All right.
Now, I won't say that I saw it and thought like, well, I want to see everything Gundam.
Well, that's
I
good,
don't.
'cause that would take the rest of your life.
I don't quite get that. But
People love building Gundams.
yeah. Like I think it's kind of a little bit like G.I. Joe for us.
Yeah.
You kind of get your military action and an adventure.
Yeah.
For them, it's combined with a big sci-fi element.
Yeah. I
Uh,
thought when Japan built their like a live action like giant sized Gundam,
Yeah.
that was cool.
Yeah.
But do I need to see a live action movie? I
I
don't
need
know.
for a theme park to build a giant sized Fin Fang Foom, and I will be similarly happy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Climb
that
around
would be
and
amazing.
thank them.
But what if it was like a water slide down Fin Fang Foom's gullet?
Yes.
You launch out of his mouth.
Well, that means you have
Or
to
launch out of his-
you'd have to go in through his cloaca.
Oh no.
But if you do it the other way, you exit through the.
Oh no. Exit to the cloaca.
It does they do with those the little
I
photo
remember.
freeze frame when you shoot out. So you get a great photo at the end
You look horrified.
of yourself being shit out of Fin Fang.
It's gonna be a weird Ace Ventura 2 thing.
Yeah, that's the vibe for sure.
And on that note, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about some movies and TV and stuff. All right, so we're going to talk about some TV. We all, Dave and Nick, both dove into Severance, the show on Apple Plus. That is like, this is their
now like 2 or 3 years old, but only just got a second season.
second season just finished.
It
Because
took 3 years to get to season 2.
Yeah,
yeah,
Ben Stiller has promised that it will not take as long to get season
It's
2.
true. He did.
it was a buzz show in those days, and having now seen season 1, I can see why.
Yeah.
I found it very intriguing. I don't know if people listen, how many people listening have checked it out, but I imagine a fair number of you have. It's in its way, a kind of a dark workplace, kind of a black comedy, but it also has like elements of suspense and like a kind of a sci-fi hook.
Yeah.
But it's not like sci-fi in the sense that there's no pew pew or weird robots or anything running around. But there is
weird.
There is weird and a vibe that I would say is a little bit Lynchian.
Yeah.
That kind of surreal nature of it.
A Lynchian Lost.
So
Yeah.
we should quick say the premise here. We see through kind of the eyes of a newly arriving person, but also one male character, Mark, is kind of our main eyes-on character,
Played by Adam Scott.
Adam Scott. That there is a procedure in the future that is a somewhat controversial thing, but in which you can sort of do this surgical implant in your brain, which will allow you kind of to split your own personality between your outie, the part that's basically all your time off during the day,
right,
and the innie, which is you at work. So you essentially never experience work if this is the case. You go into work, you go down an elevator, the chip triggers, and suddenly the other personality is in possession, and they don't know and remember anything about your side of it.
Essentially bifurcate your brain into the point where one person is the...
You're kind of enslaving another portion of your brain, which might as well, at a certain point, be its own person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From what we have seen, would you guys say it's safe to say that it's like the innie, the working you,
Yeah.
has elements of your personality?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
You like so.
But it's sort of a stripped down.
But it's like you have almost no like you know what an airplane is, even if you don't go on airplanes.
Right.
And they kind of go, but they're kind of like the only life that they know is working.
But
when they go in the elevator and go up, they revert back, and so they don't have any memory of being off the job.
Right, but they also don't have 100%, like, they don't know the names of everything.
Like, there's a certain naivete to the innies.
Well, there's this weird work culture where they have celebrations inside. Like,
yes.
if you were at a workplace where it was like you never left and like this was your life, it's kind of like that. And so like they have like celebrations.
Well, your work, you're trying to get like Chinese finger traps.
Yeah.
You're trying to get...
What is the waffle party?
Waffle party
is one of the things that you can get.
When it gets to the waffle party, I was not expecting the waffle party.
It was pretty weird. But the melon party is the smaller, contained version of it. But essentially, these are kind of like the show's dark, sort of satirical takes on, like, the pizza party incentives.
Casual Friday.
But it's all sort of through a surrealist lens, because even the very building they work in, they go down into this underground thing. You enter into almost like a labyrinth of hallways.
Yeah.
And it looks almost like and it's completely unpopulated, and even at first. And even the room that they're in is this big room, but with just 4 cubicles kind of stationed next to each other. And they have a supervisor who comes in, and occasionally an awareness of that person's boss. And then eventually, they know that there are other areas in this office building that that have other workers in it, but they kind of don't know what they do. And it's almost like this weird, civilization down there, like a whole civilization where you make that you're like, oh well, we heard they're cannibals over there.
Yeah, there's these weird...
it's and that's interdepartment rivalry satire.
There's
stuff.
Weird stories that have generated from the department Christopher Walken works with, which I forget the name of it.
Right.
But
it's O&D. Optics and Design.
Optics and Design believes that the people in Adam Scott's thing have pouches.
Yes. Yeah. Like a kangaroo
Like
pouch.
a kangaroo.
Yeah.
And are very afraid of them because apparently there was an uprising at some point depicted in a painting.
Yeah.
Right.
And they are very kind of standoffish, we don't...
Right.
But Christopher Walken's character sort of finds a connection with one of the 4... our 4 main characters, essentially.
Yeah.
Right, all of whom find their ways, in some ways, sort of breaking out of the mold. And incidentally, the show is told from sort of 2 perspectives. You have the innies, the naive, forced to do the work stuff, who are actually fairly entertaining to watch just as co-workers.
Yeah.
They do joke around like normal co-workers. They have rivalries and annoyances with them. It's just that's the only life they know. Yeah. And then you have the kind of... outer life, mainly seen through Mark's eyes in the first season. I haven't seen season 2 yet, where he is trying to get over the death of his wife a couple years earlier.
Yep.
And and for him, that's why he wanted to get the process of severing, which is what they call it, because it meant that there was a portion of the day when he basically didn't have to be dealing with grief.
Right.
And so that's why he did it. And there's something, I don't know it yet, y'all may know from season 2, but there's something surreal even about the town this is in, which is this kind of perpetually snowy small town.
Yeah.
But there is enough, I've seen pop music going on, I've seen that there's people who protest it, but it almost, to me, it feels like a simulation.
Yeah.
There's surreal stuff even outside the workplace. Anyway, yeah, so let's see. So the other co-workers, so there's Mark, who's kind of like the, team leader?
Yeah.
Right? He's sort of the team leader.
Yeah.
There's John Turturro's Irving.
Irving.
Who's been there for the longest.
Older guy in the group, very kind of by the book.
but he's starting to crack a little around the edges.
Right, and he develops a attraction to Christopher Walken's character, which is what connects them early on.
Which leads to some very sweet scenes, honestly.
Yeah, you see, because he seems a little heartless at first, quoting the almost religious-like strictures about the founder of the company, Keir, where people will be like, almost like, all glory to Keir and stuff like that.
And there is 100% religious, bent to this entire show in a lot of ways, with Lumen, which is this creepy company that is kind of like Christian nationalists in a lot of ways.
Right. Yeah. But it also goes to how you might the cult of personality of a company, of a CEO like Elon Musk or something like that. But literally, there's religious iconography paintings of Keir and stuff like that, in the thing.
Kind of
and early on, Irving seems like he's really into that, but he's also into art. And you see his facade break when he becomes attracted to the guy in the other department, and finds himself going through this labyrinth of halls trying to find him again. Which, whenever they get out into the halls, it's kind of their mysterious, uncharted territory.
Yep.
It's this very beautifully filmed show.
It's gorgeous.
In its bleakness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Helly, she's the new one. She's the new arrival who is the most rebellious of them, and immediately is like, what happens if I don't...
challenges everything.
She's like, what if I don't want to work here? And they're like, well, your Audi kind of owns you, essentially, and has legal precedent, and you could fill out a form and say you don't want to do it, and she does, and then she gets a video from herself, who, of course, neither of them remember anything that the other has done, but Audi is like, I reject your claim, I have the power here, you will continue to work.
Which leads to basically some depression and PTSD and self-harm.
Yes, for sure.
Some avenues that I wasn't expecting. That I do not know this actress, Britt Lower, or Lauer, however you say it. But she is an amazing.
I feel like the casting on this show is some of the best casting I've seen in ages.
Yeah, some people I didn't know, like Trammell Tillman, who plays Milchick.
He's fantastic.
Oh man,
he is.
So that is their sort of
the direct boss.
Their supervisor.
The supervisor.
Yeah. And he's kind of the go-get-em team kind of guy who sets up parties and offers them these incentives and is kind of like, hey, I'm just one of the gang like you. But when we see the darker secrets, like if you screw up in this place, if you try and get out, you go to the break room, and that is not a traditional break room. It's like where they break you. And you will be forced to endure hours upon hours
of an apology
of making an apology, where they have you strapped to a polygraph, and they won't let you go until it reads as you believe it.
Right.
And man,
it's messed up.
And so he has this incredibly cruel side. He's a scary dude,
but he gives it his all. I mean, literally, he is the most charismatic, creepy person.
He is a great character, and then the final one is Dylan, who's kind of the office kind of loudmouth.
Where do I know Zach Cherry from?
I don't know. He's very familiar.
Yeah,
he's kind of this paunchy bearded dude who's
it was in Fallout.
He will call bullshit on things all the time. He swears a lot. He's the office kind of
But he's the good guy, the good at the job.
Right.
He is the one who is getting all of the accolades, and
he feels like he could be a dude a little on the spectrum. And certainly a volatile personality, but he is in some ways their best tech guy. Yeah. And they're all doing this weird computer program thing that they don't even know exactly what it does. It's one of the bigger mysteries of the show is what does Lumen, the company, do? I don't even know if that's something that the show particularly intends to answer.
It does.
Does it? Okay.
Yes.
But his early guess when they theorize about it, on one of their breaks, and he's like, the way I figure it, it's probably a dystopia up above, and the world is all screwed up and destroyed, and so they probably send drones down into the ocean to get food and stuff, and what we're doing on our computer is an abstraction of helping the drones avoid eels.
Yeah, it's the most bizarre kind of bonkers thing you can think of, but it's so good. I know this. I don't know the showrunner, the guy who actually came up with this idea.
Yeah.
Mark Derrickson?
No, it's something. But apparently he was depressed because he had just gotten his master's in TV and film.
Yeah.
I was working in an office, and he was like, man, I wish I could just disassociate during these 8 hours, then go back to my real life.
Yeah.
And that's where the concept came from.
Oh, wow.
I do think Ben Stiller's involvement, he brings that kind of esoteric weirdness to it.
Yeah.
That he is so good at with, like...
He's clearly a good director. He directs most of the big episodes.
People just think of him as the Meet the Parents guy, as kind of this silly, stupid actor. He's the guy who did, like, Cable Guy, which is this dark comedy.
Right, a dark comedy.
And Reality Bites.
Yep.
He there's a lot more... kind of
he is a great comedic actor.
He is. He is a Zoolander.
He is a Zoolander, but clearly he was always more than that, and this is like the proof of it.
Yeah.
Now, Randy, you said something interesting early on, which is there was a little disconnect for you because there's a certain iciness to it. It's a little like Kubrick style in the sense that the characters, and I think because they're all a little literally detached in a way, and also because it's sort of surreal, that you didn't feel as close to them as like you would prefer.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Am I?
No, that's right. And I think I like this show, but I don't love this show. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of people just adore it, and it is great. It is legitimately great TV. It's Apple's most successful TV show. But I like you give me something like Ted Lasso, that's gonna be more up my alley.
Yeah.
Which is gonna be a theme as we talk about TV today. That like I watched a lot of stuff that is objectively good that did not land with me.
Yeah.
And I really like Severance. I burned through season 2 as well. I definitely recommend people watch season 2. I'm excited to talk more about season 2 when Dave gets through it.
Yep.
But at the same time, I don't like love this as much as everybody else just loves it.
I think I plugged into just the kind of vibe. And the characters are good.
I didn't think it would because, like, I have never actually worked that cubicle job. It's not that I can't empathize with it, but I've never had that in my experience. But I love it. Their building becomes this almost like it might as well, it could be a weird dystopian world or like a fantasy world. It's so filled with interesting things. Like, they literally have to make maps of it, like hand-drawn maps to try and figure out how to get to certain places again. It has the same energy. It feels like I'm playing an indie video game.
Right.
And it's, like, set inside this weird, surreal office that you can't escape from.
Yeah.
But Randy's not wrong. Like, early on, I recognized that there's certain plot elements that I was describing that are like, oh, this reminds me a little bit of Lost.
Yeah.
You know, Lost had your characters on the island, and there was their lives beforehand that you would see in flashbacks, and so it did some similar concept. But Lost was much more of a heart-on-its-sleeve kind of show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this is a little icier.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, like I love Helly. When you get those moments like when Irving and the other character from Christopher Walken's character connect and just like hold hands for a moment, it's very meaningful. But I'm still not moved as much as I was like when Lost would be, you know.
There are a couple sequences in the first season and more in the second that I found to be, I was caught up in.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's not that it can't do it, but its interests are not as much there. And that's fine. It can be its own thing.
No, everything has to be the same.
It has to be Lost. Everybody knows that Lost ended great, and everybody loves Lost. But yeah, like the stuff it does, I'm like, barely a minute or two ever goes by in the show without me thinking, what a fun bit of dialogue, what an interesting new development for the character, what a creepy new thing to learn about Lumen.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just kind of constantly being dazzled by it. And which is weird because visually it looks like if you just walked past it in the room and really didn't pay attention to it, you'd just be like, what, it's just a bunch of empty office spaces and occasionally a snowy town.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel expansive, but as depicted it is.
Apparently super expensive to make.
Yeah, you told me that, and I sort of believe it because it's so immaculately shot. Well, and there is some tricky stuff sometimes.
Well, and I have to assume that all of these are like actual sets. They didn't shoot this on the
right. It's not a big CG building.
The Mandalorian
green
thing.
Screen, the AR wall.
Yeah, this was they built things, and there are things in this like the house within the basement, the full on house.
Right,
creepy. They just spent some money in all the right ways.
I think I would say like almost everyone should try the show. I've been surprised at some of the people who've connected with it, like our coworker Jeanette. It didn't quite seem like it'd be her thing, but it's like one of her favorite shows.
She's very religious about watching it.
Yeah, she was just way on board, and so I think everybody should try it. It may not be your vibe, but you should try it.
Yeah,
I agree.
for sure.
What else y'all got?
All right. We're going to talk about the studio, which is Apple Plus's other new show, right?
Yep.
They're definitely getting some like critical buzz. People are super excited about this show.
Yeah.
This is Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who did Preacher, The Boys, some other stuff.
Yep. But this is like Seth Rogen playing a newly hired studio executive, wanting to
he's like a long-term studio executive who gets pushed up to the chairman.
The chairman, yes.
Yeah, the head of the studio.
So he is like super excited to be able to make the movies he wants, and then of course the corporate overlord is like, wait a minute, no, we have to make a Kool-Aid movie.
So his boss...
I'm sorry, what?
Kool-Aid movie. They just bought the rights to Kool-Aid.
Like Kool-Aid Man?
Yes, Kool-Aid Man.
I think y'all were saying.
His boss, Patty Lee, gets referenced a lot, and you'll see her at the end of the episode. Yep. She is fired for reasons I don't know, and he and his buddy, Ike Barinholtz plays him, are like one of them. They're both studio executives. They both think they might get promoted to that job, and they're both like, oh, well, it's very Hollywoody and like, oh, man, I love Patty, but this would be a great job for me, and that kind of thing. All kind of scummy.
Little cutthroat.
And then he gets the nod from Bryan Cranston playing these sort of clueless Griffin Mill, who's in the CEO.
Yeah.
And he sits down, and basically to get the job, Griffin Mill is like excited about making the Kool-Aid movie because he's like, we want our Barbie movie. And it's clear that this guy is kind of a corporate dimball, but doesn't understand why Barbie was successful.
Right.
So he gets hired to, as long as he makes a Kool-Aid movie, which this guy that he's playing, Matt Remick.
Yep.
Rogen's character. He is a cinema guy. He loves movies, all this kind of thing. He was excited to start making some art house movies. And the first thing he has to do is basically say, oh, no, I don't like that art house shit. I'm going to make you movies that make billions of dollars. And,
right.
But he seems to have like an out because he meets with Martin Scorsese. And Martin Scorsese is developing a movie based on Jonestown.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, wasn't Jonestown famously where everyone drank the Kool-Aid?
Right.
He's like, look, I'm going to give you the budget for your movie. Whoever you all creative control.
Buy your script for $10 million.
Buy your script for $10 million. All you got to do is one thing and change the title for me. It's got to be called Kool-Aid, which Scorsese goes for. And I thought, okay, this is going to be kind of a clever thing about this guy subverting the dumbness of Hollywood to make good things. But then by the end of the episode, spoilers, he has to basically kill Martin Scorsese's movie and hold on to it so he can't make it, and make the dumb Kool-Aid version movie instead.
I was more enamored with this than you were.
It is a very good show. It's funny. I like it. I like all the characters.
Would you call it a dark comedy?
Yes. Catherine Hahn plays the marketing director, and she is great in her Catherine Hahn way.
Yep.
I like Ike Barinholtz a lot. I don't always like Seth Rogen, but I think he's solid in this.
I think he's good. This is kind of... Did you ever see the movie The Player?
Yeah.
I
don't like The Player either.
It's got elements of that. There is kind of a love letter to Hollywood. Like, the character that Catherine O'Hara plays is an actual...
You say this, but that is my thing. I don't feel like this is a love letter to Hollywood. This is a Hollywood sucks.
I completely disagree with that take. This is not Hollywood sucks.
Wait a minute. What you described objectively, I am the objective arbiter here.
Yes.
Does sound bad. Like, Scorsese's movie gets tanked, and they have to make a dumb license movie.
Let me give you one last bit, Dave.
Yeah.
They end this episode. He gets invited to Charlize Theron's party, something he's always wanted because he's been like a studio exec and he hasn't been like a guy that people cared about, but now he's the head of a studio. Gets invited to Charlize Theron's party, goes and talks with Martin Scorsese. He has to let him down, tell him that he's killing his project, and then on the way out he sees Steve Buscemi, who was supposed to be taking the role. And Buscemi's like, yeah, can you believe it? We get to make Marty Scorsese's last movie with him? And he's like, it was going to be his last movie? He's like, yeah, he's really excited about it. He's like, is he crying? So the end of the movie, the end of the show is they have left Martin Scorsese, film legend, crying in the middle of Charlize Theron's party because they have crushed his dreams. Does this sound like a love letter to Hollywood to you? Nick, you're cuss.
I mean...
Judge Dave.
I think it's vibe of, like... They wouldn't be able to get, like, all these people. It is kind of a joking satire of Hollywood. I don't think, like, Martin Scorsese would be involved if it wasn't, like, something he believed in.
I think...
Because this is actually him. It's not anyone playing Martin Scorsese.
I think that what Rogen is doing here is... He is
dark satire.
He is playing
right?
everybody. He's playing every guy he's ever tried to pitch a movie to. This is his screw you to all the executives who have fucked him up his entire life.
Probably.
And I think that is what Martin Scorsese and Charlize Theron and all these people responded to is like, oh, we're going to make fun of the system town. And I think I've seen enough of that where I'm like, I'm not obsessed with how you make movies. You go too far with this, you get Entourage.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll dip into that.
I mean, what y'all are describing actually sounds kind of appealing to me. Like, I kind of want to check it out.
It's very well done.
And then the second episode is basically about Seth Rogen and Ike Barinholtz going onto the set, being late to get onto the set for a final shot of a movie, like the pivotal.
They're doing a oneer. They're doing a long one take.
And, and they're running late, so he drives up past, like, he parks where he shouldn't park. He talks when he shouldn't talk because he's overly excited. But it is nerve wracking. Like this entire episode, it was just kind of like, shut the hell up, let the people do their jobs. But he couldn't help himself because he was so excited about.
See, to me, this is like, some people can't do cringe comedy, and I'm fine with cringe comedy. I can watch Seinfeld and Curb Your Old Day.
But this felt like Office.
This is
like British.
This
Office.
is too much for me. Like, this is I don't want to watch these people fuck this up this whole time. Like, if you can divorce yourself where you're like, oh, I don't actually care about this fake movie they're making.
Well, right.
I could not. All I could think about the whole time was like, shut up. Get him out of here. What is going on?
But they were able to elicit that response in that way.
Yeah.
It mean to me they were doing something really good.
Oh, I agree with you that it is well done, but I think it's not for me.
And I was laughing. I mean, I was cringe laughing.
I was definitely not laughing at this.
But just the kind of...
it does sound funny to me. It sounds like dark funny. Like, I might like it.
And Sarah Polley, who doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
Everyone is playing themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's their heightened versions of themselves.
Yeah, sure.
But I think that is kind of a nice little kind of thing to have as well, because you get their reactions to what essentially is like a nosy studio exec trying to be on set, wanting to be like, give his ideas and stuff, and you're just really just wanting to say, fuck off, man. I want to do what I'm going to do.
I think where this fails for me, the problem that I have with it, is if Seth Rogen's character was presented as kind of a boob, the kind of way Michael Scott is in The Office.
Yeah.
But because it is Seth Rogen's show and he is the lead, it is presented as, this guy is a boob, but we still should be rooting for him. And I'm like, he's kind of a dick the whole time.
I didn't read dick.
Oh, man.
I liked him because he's put in a position where he has to make the crappy movie.
I get, yeah.
Or he will get fired.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want... He has finally reached the job of what he has always wanted.
Yeah.
And it's like compromise, and I hate that he's compromising. He should be able to make whatever he wants, but that's not how Hollywood works.
This because of the way that Bryan Cranston plays his character and everything.
Yeah,
to me this is like watching the Trump show. It's like there's this powerful guy and these people who want to do well but they can't, and so they just kowtow to this guy who's in charge.
I think it
had a vibe I did not like.
That's like current events, like bleeding.
It probably is. It's just the wrong time for it for me.
Yeah, I can see that, and I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm trying to divorce myself from some of that comparison, but I see it.
Yeah.
But I just thought this was kind of a...
It is interesting that no matter what, anybody making anything right now is making it under the umbrella of that.
Yeah.
Like, you might have thought, like, oh, I'm just going to do kind of a darkly funny send-up of, like, all the insanities of the studios of making movies these days. And you're like, but almost inevitably, if there is some sort of dumb shit on top, well, what else could you possibly compare it to in this, our modern world?
But all the people playing the studio people, I love. Catherine O'Hara.
It's a great cast.
Catherine Hahn.
Yeah.
Ike Barinholtz, I find
it's a great
deeply
cast.
humorous.
Great cast. It's a great cast. It looks great. It is undeniably a good show, but I think it did not land with me.
What's it on anyway?
It's on Apple Plus.
Okay. I'll check it out next time I'm house sitting for my brother
I'm watching Severance season 2.
Yeah, I don't have Apple Plus otherwise.
Dave, it's $10.
And I can't afford $10.
It's $10.
This economy, you seen these tariffs,
watch all of Severance season 2, then the studio, and then all of Ted Lasso.
Man, I can barely watch anything right now.
All right, one last thing to talk about. We've got other stuff we'll have to pass till next week.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Hard Eyes.
Okay.
Which is
just to say, in case people have Heart Eyes, not Hard Eyes.
Heart Eyes.
This was a basically humor slasher film.
Yeah, a romantic comedy slasher.
Did it come out around... When did it come out?
Valentine's
Day.
Okay, Valentine's Day, that's right.
It's on streaming now, Nick, or you purchased it, I guess.
I purchased it.
So we saw the trailer for this, we talked about it, I think we were all like, this trailer's not great.
I didn't think it was bad, but it was not the best.
But then I saw there was Josh Rubens who did Scare Me,
right, and
which I
Werewolves
loved.
Within.
and Werewolves Within. And then Nick watched it and said it was good, and I watched it, and it is, in fact, really good and really fun.
I thought it was an interesting blending of genres, because you definitely get the slasher film, but you also get the...
It is a romantic comedy. It's straight up a romantic comedy.
A specific type of romantic comedy, which is the Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, Screwball.
Which they actually reference, because they go to a drive-in movie where they're showing...
But it was just kind of this odd mashing, and I thought it really worked.
Yeah, so the Hard Eyes Killer is a known thing. People know that this guy murders people. He murders couples on Valentine's Day. It opens with this gruesome...
Only Valentine's Day?
Yeah,
only
that's when this slasher appears every year.
So they get their sort of Scream opening?
Yeah.
That's his kind of...
He pursues there's this very white couple at a winery having their perfect proposal.
Yeah.
And as they're doing it, their videographer gets murdered, and then the Hard Eyes Killer basically kills both of them in messy ways.
And now you're laughing as you say that. Is it not portrayed in the sort of same stark way as Drew Barrymore's thing? Is it more darkly funny?
No,
it's darkly funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
The kills
would that be the kind of tone of the
that's
movie?
the vibe of it.
The kills in this are definitely kind of the more humorous.
Because it's interesting because like there's a humorous tone throughout Scream, but when it's serious, it's serious.
I mean, the kills are for real. People do get killed,
and
but it's a little more. It's
would
a little more
broadly compare it to Scream?
I would compare it to Scream for sure. Yeah.
And so don't say too much. I don't want to know all the spoilers, So there's a new couple. Are they just on their first date?
So here's the way that this is the central premise that you get is that there's a girl who works in advertising.
Yeah, it's advertising,
and she has unfortunately done an ad that featured all the tragic romances that all ended with death, like Titanic, and Romeo and Juliet, and something else.
I forget.
It's a campaign for romance, for diamonds or whatever, but it's all about people dying in romance, and they're like, and she's getting dragged and canceled because of the Hard Eyes Killer. That she is as if she's like referencing it.
Yep.
Right.
And so they bring in this new marketing guy to sort of help her out with it, and there's sort of a meet cute where he wants to go out with her, and she's like, I just want to not get fired. Yeah. And they are on what's sort of a business date.
Yeah.
But it's at a romantic restaurant just because of the way it worked out.
But they end up kissing.
And they end up kissing through
for a reason.
Right.
And then the Hard Eyes Killer targets them. So they're not even a real couple, but they're being pursued as if they are.
Okay, that's fun.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes from there. There's definitely...
I might try and catch that in the next week or two.
It's really fun.
Yeah, I really
And there's some great twists and turns. I want to say one of the things I like about the pair of cops.
Yep.
Their names are Hobbs and Shaw.
Well, and there's a hilarious thing because one of them is Jordana Brewster.
One is Jordana Brewster from Fast and Furious.
From Fast and Furious.
Yes. Yeah. And they reference it. They're like, wait, your names are Hobbs and Shaw? It's like, it's not... It's just my name.
And the other one is Devon Sawa, who, if you watch
that reminds me of
horror,
the Michael Bolton in Office Space.
Yes.
It's like that, yes.
Yeah. You said Devon Sawa, Nick?
Who, if you were a 90s horror fan, he was the guy from like Idle Hands and Final Destination.
Okay.
He played the leads.
Yeah.
I think it was a very satisfying movie.
It was a ton of fun.
Yeah. I actually think, I'm going to be mean, I liked this probably more than Werewolves Within and Scare Me.
I don't know if I really like Scare Me, but this may be his best movie.
And it's a little bit...
And I really like Werewolves Within.
I think Werewolves Within...
Was Werewolves Within the one I saw?
Yes.
Okay.
And they might be a tie. I did not love Scare Me as much as you did.
I loved Scare Me. Not everybody loves Scare Me. I loved Scare Me.
But this feels like his more approachable, like I think a little bit bigger budget, a little bit...
Scare Me is two people in a room.
Right.
And Werewolves Within is a full ensemble.
Yep.
This feels more like it's neither one of those things.
Right.
And I like that he can do multiple different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't necessarily argue with you on this. I think
is his horror always tinged with some stripe of comedy?
Yes.
But it sounds like he's done them pretty differently, though.
Yes,
that's
for
cool.
sure. Yeah, and he can do legit scares. Like Scare Me has a good scary finale.
And I thought the leads in this were quite good. Mason
they were
Gooding
great. Yeah.
is from
Mason Gooding
Scream. More recent Scream movies. He was the guy in the Twins.
He's in something else too, though, isn't he? I thought he looked familiar, but maybe he was just he's a handsome man.
He was also.
Is he he's Gooding Jr.'s son?
Oh, maybe so.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Oh, he was in Booksmart.
Yeah, he was also in a movie you hate watched, I think, Dave, The Fall.
The Fall.
The one where they're on that tall...
No, I wouldn't characterize it as hate watching. I actually quite like the movie.
Yeah.
It was a literal physical reaction.
Yeah, because you do not like heights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know I didn't like heights that badly until I saw that, and then I will
say, though, recommend The Fall. Good movie.
I recommend The Fall. People should watch it, or it's just called Fall, right?
Just called Fall.
Yeah, just Fall.
I'm going to watch the sequel. as much as I can.
Yeah.
And the female lead is Olivia Holt, who...
She was good too. I know the name.
She's in Laid. She plays the other girlfriend.
She didn't play Dagger, did she?
She played Dagger.
Okay.
She was also in Totally Killer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
I'll try and check that out.
Yeah, worth a look.
Definitely.
All right. That'll wrap it up for us. We'll be back next week with more. And until that time, yo, Joe. Roguecast is a weekly podcast broadcast from Rogues Gallery Comics and Games in Round Rock, Texas. You can find us online on Facebook and at www.roguesgallerytx.com and email us comments or questions at roguesgallerytx@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.